18, it says, where there is no vision, people perish. We're going to kind of go on the positive end of it, and where there is vision, people flourish. Okay, so you have to have a vision. The definition of balance, this is why I don't really like balance, is that it's a state of equilibrium. At what point in our lives are we ever at a state of equilibrium? There's either something crazy going on, or it's never at a state of equilibrium. Everybody, no matter who you are, has life happening to them constantly. Sometimes people think, oh, well, she has everything perfect, nothing ever happens to her. Everybody has something happening in their life, whether they let you know about it or not. Typically, there's something going on. So we're going to kind of shoot more for either harmony or peace. In order to attain this, though, you have to know where you want to go. If you don't know where you want to go, chances are you're probably not going to get there. The same is true for like setting goals with anything in life. And you've heard me say it so many times, you probably want to like slap it across the face at this point. You have to know where you want to go in this business. Have you guys heard about the law of attraction? Okay, take you back to like high school probably. It's pretty much the more you focus on something, the more it's going to constantly show up in your life. So for example, when you're shopping for a car, or when you're pregnant, for the ladies in the room that have been pregnant, for the shopping of the car that you're looking for, don't you always see it on the road when you're shopping for that one car? Then when you get it, you don't see it hardly ever again. When you're pregnant, you feel like you're one of like everybody pregnant. Once you're not pregnant, I don't really notice.
Nobody's pregnant.
Right. It's whatever, that's the whole thing. Like whatever is in your focused in your brain, that's what you're going to see all the time. It's the law of attraction. The same thing is true. You guys probably know people in your life that are always complaining. Don't name them if they're in the room, okay? But you know there's certain people that are constantly complaining about something. They're never happy, nothing is ever working out for them. You know why? Because they're constantly complaining, and that's what's in the forefront of their brain. When you complain, you're gonna get more things to complain about. It's just how it is. So it's not like, we all have things to complain about. We could probably all sit here for the next 3 hours and complain about something. It's that you choose not to, and then good things happen. If you choose to, you're gonna keep on getting more things to complain about. On average, we have 60,000 to 90,000 thoughts every single day. 96% of them every day are the same. So it's a matter of changing your thinking, because automatically we know how to breathe, we know what we wake up, it's typically the same, what we put on our pants, all those things are kind of automatic. Same things that you're putting into your brain, you're telling yourself about yourself, are also automatic. So if you tell yourself, I can't succeed, or I'm fat, or I'm ugly, or I'm a failure, or whatever it might be, you keep on telling yourself that, yourself's going to believe it, and that's going to be your normal thought every day. So change your thinking, because those 60 to 90,000 thoughts, if they're mostly negative, your life is probably going to go on that negative pathway. So you really have to focus, and it takes a lot of effort, believe me. Like, you really have to focus on changing your thinking, because as women, for the guys in the room, I don't know how you don't have this problem, but we do. We are constantly negative talking ourselves all the time. When we look in the mirror, we go to the negative part. I don't like this. It's not like, oh, well, I've got great eyes, I like that. We go to, oh, look at my thighs. You know what I mean? As women, we do that. We do. So really just get around the people that are positive, because that helps you think more positively. When you think more positively, good things are going to happen. We're going to go through, instead of training before, Jane Francis said it, and it was totally right on. So if you're writing notes, write this down. Think equals attitude equals action equals results. What you think about will determine your attitude, which will determine your actions that you do or that you don't take, which ultimately determines your results. So first you must know where you're going, because that's going to become your reality, whether it's good or bad. But whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. You're right. So say it again, Christy.
Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yep. Isn't that good?
Your self is so smart.
I love it. You're so smart.
Did you just read the book, The Power?
No. Is that in there?
The whole first page is the book.
For real? The Power?
Girls, read the book.
Now I need to read it.
Get on audible.com, and it's even better because it has music to it.
Read The Power?
Yeah. Rhonda, I'll look it up. Rhonda, the same girl.
Horses, the happy horse.
Oh, that
It is all about. It's all about attracting. Like, you need to stick to beliefs too. Like it could be kind of
The Secret. So it's a sequel to the sequel?
I'm not going to say.
Oh, it's totally different.
But read the book. It's all about the law of attraction and attracting, getting on the right frequency that you want to be on and attracting that back to you.
I love
That
it.
you have to be really conscious about, like you
Right.
said.
It has to be like a conscious thought every single day.
I'm not done yet.
That's what you put out too.
They call it like a boomerang. If you throw out unhappy, you're getting back unhappy. If you throw out positive, you're going to get back positive.
Yeah.
It was the first page. I was
It's
like,
almost like I read it.
no, it's almost like what you just said was like so scary because when you start thinking, like I was like, oh my God, like I was listening to that book a couple days ago
Yeah.
and now that's all I'm hearing is about people saying you need to be positive, you need to be on the right wavelength, and I'm like, oh my God, it's so true.
You know what's
Well, that's what
funny?
we said about
I'm
what she
sorry.
was reading
Yeah,
today, too.
and that's why I was amazed that that's what you picked to read, because it's all about, you know, when I use the balance, but like wisdom and thinking about that. And,
There it is, girls.
but you know what? But like just something simple that's been working every night before I go to bed. I've been thinking about like just I know it sounds so cheesy, but like how many blessings, like how awesome it is. And every day now I notice that during my day I'll be like, how lucky are we that we get to do this right now? Like, remember when we sat outside and I was
Yeah.
like, how lucky that we just to sit outside and work
it
right now.
isn't like at first I
makes you
was like, oh my
conscious
gosh,
of
this is gonna be so like sacrilegious to listen to this, like all about like wavelength and like it's like really green. But it does talk about how every time Jesus performed a miracle, he would thank God, thank the person, and just because he was so gratuitous, is that the word?
Mhm.
And then that's why he was able to do all this because he was so appreciative of what he was able to do. You need to read it.
I would read it.
I would listen to it now because it has like good background music. It's like at the end you're like, it swells. Okay, sorry.
That's all right. So some people think that positive attitudes and happiness follow the victories. So a lot of times you say, if I lose 20 pounds, then I'll be happy. If I can sponsor that rock star jeweler, then I'll be happy. If I can have that $10,000 commission check, then I'll be happy. It's totally in reverse. Like we kind of put ourselves into that, I'm not going to be happy until I get this. You have to think about it in the reverse. It's going to be, well, I'm going to be happy, I'm going to diet and try, and then I'm going to lose weight. Or I'm going to be excited about my business, share the opportunity. Then you're going to sponsor that rock star jeweler. It all happens. You have to put yourself out there, that good vibe, and then those things come back. I'm never
You could have
book.
written the book right now.
Seriously? So get around the happy people, like Kim Ferrari trained on it before. What did she call them? Her positive premier people, her PPP. Don't get around those Debbie Downers, because in any business, if you get around them too long, they're going to suck you down into their negativity too. So get around the people that are excited about their business, even when they get those 3 cancellations in a row, the person that doesn't show up for the OP, we all get them. But you have to take the positive spin that those things are supposed to happen. You never know what's going to happen based on that person not showing up. Maybe the next person that walks in the restaurant is looking for you. You just never know. So be grateful about what you have now, because if you're not grateful about what you have now, you're not going to keep on getting anything else to be grateful about. Okay, so once you have that positive thought and you're retraining your brain of how to think about yourself, have a goal and write it down. I think I've said this 10,000 times, but it's worth saying again. Have a goal and write it down, because if your goal or your vision isn't clear, you're not going to get there. I promise you. You have no road to take. It's saying, okay, let's go from here to Texas. If you have no map to get there, can you get there without it? Unless you're really good, I doubt it. You really need to have, that's a far drive. You really have to have a map to get there. So same thing with your goals. There might be detours along the way, but you have to know where you want to go and how to get there in order to reach it. There's 2 reasons people don't reach their goals. Number 1 is that their goals aren't big enough or compelling enough, or number 2, they don't have any. So don't be the ones that don't have any, and if you have them, make them big enough and compelling enough to actually reach them. Don't make it so easy where you're not driven or excited to reach it. Make it so big where it's almost scary to have that written down, okay? Because then you'll be really excited. There was a study done that says that 16% of Americans say they have goals, but they don't have them written down. 3% of Americans actually have them written down, and they don't review them regularly. Okay, so out of the 3%, most of them don't review them. 1% of Americans write them down and review them, and they are amongst the highest paid people in the United States. So be one of those 1% that write them down and review them, because then everybody else will be working under you, okay? You don't want to be the ones that are not making what you need to be making. You want to be the 1%.
If you don't have a dream, you'll be working for someone else's.
Yeah. Ooh, say that again. That's good.
If you don't have a dream, you'll be working for someone else's.
Give me goosebumps. I know. I love that. Knowing your why in Premier, as Andy Horner always says, that 20% of this business that happens is for the birds. You're going to have replacement exchanges. You're going to have cancellations. You're going to have that stuff. It's just part of the business. But when you have a strong enough vision, or a strong enough why, we call it, those things aren't going to let that knock you down. You're going to say, that's all right, I've got a bigger goal that I'm trying to meet, and that cancellation is not going to stop me from whatever it is. Make your goals so specific to yourself that nobody else in this room would have that exact goal. Make it so it almost like, we've had an exercise before where I've asked some jewelers like what their goal is, and Doug, because it always starts out as money. I can promise you, if you have money written down as your goal, that's not the real reason. Dig deeper and dig deeper and dig deeper until you really figure out what your goal is, because the money will start with something. The money will get you whatever it might be, but that's not the reason that is compelling enough to get you past that cancellation or past whatever else is kind of dragging you down. There's always something bigger. So like for us, it was for me to be able to stay home with the boys. For another jeweler, she wanted to buy a house because growing up she did not have the family life that she wanted, so she wanted her son to have a house. So it's like, yes, the money is great, but what are you going to do with the money that makes it so compelling that you want that goal? Make it big, make it scary, because if it's not scary to you, it's going to be almost laughable to God. Okay, so make it seriously scary. Write it down, and can you put up the one with the jet?
Stand by.
Is it a harp or guitar?
That was a grand
Okay, there's a book called The Dip too, so in case you guys have ever read that, this is pretty much like the course of your business. You're going to have peaks, you're going to have valleys, you're going to kind of plateau out. Most of the time, because there are some people you look at in the business, you're like, she's always on a high, she's always doing great stuff. No. See the peak, how little that is? That's the amount of time you're going to be way up here. You can be building up to that point, you can go down into the valley and then plateau off, but most people quit anything, this business included, when they're down in that valley. Okay, don't quit when you're down there, because guess what happens right after that?
I almost
You
did.
go up. A lot of
I was in
that's-
a valley.
No one quits when they're at the peak, I promise you. There is not one jeweler that has ever quit on that peak. They quit when they're down below, right before they're about to get out. So always make sure that you think about, if you're down in that dip right now, there's something else coming out. You're not going to stay down there forever. It always comes back up, but you can't quit there, or else that's when you fail. You can't.
If I could throw another quote out there, your success isn't measured by
What are you
peak.
today?
I know.
Your success is measured
He's
when you're in the
Dr. Ray.
valley.
Dr. Ray today.
Your success isn't measured at the peak. It's measured when you're in the valley.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
How do you handle yourself
When you
you're
get
low,
knocked
when
down.
you're down, when you're knocked
Yeah.
out, seemingly?
All right, let's look at the paper in front of you. What's it say?
And then that goes back to like character.
What I just, sorry. Well, I just blacked out. I didn't say anything.
There's this thing I'm going to read to you too. That is, it was in Success magazine, and I'm just going to read it word for word, else I'll paraphrase it really wrong. It says, a while back, our Success cover feature was the knighted Sir Richard Branson. We had a client contact us to inquire about hiring him to speak at their conference. So we had someone inquire, and Sir Richard declined. The client then offered $250,000 for a 1-hour talk. He declined again. Then they raised it to $500,000 for the hour. He declined again. Then we asked how much would it take for him to attend, and the response from his people was that no amount of money would matter. They said right now Richard has 3 main priorities he's focused on, and he will only allocate his time to those 3 priorities, and speaking for a fee is not one of them. I thought, wow, that is the type of unshakable and unapologetic focus that has allowed him to accomplish more than what 100 high-producing guys could combined. It's amazing, really. Now, when I told a friend of mine this story, he said, well, it's easy for Branson to say no to an easy $500,000, but I certainly couldn't. And I promptly replied with, that's why you're not achieving like Richard Branson. He's gotten there because of his dedication and his focus. So this whole rest of the training is going to be say no to things. It's okay to say no to things because a lot of us as women, we always say yes, yes, yes because we're helpful and we want to be helpful to people.
We hate disappointing others.
We do. It's okay to say no, and it's actually sometimes better because then the things you say yes to will be a lot more successful. So we're going to kind of teach you different strategy or approaches to actually balancing that out. But I thought that was really cool because it's okay to say no, and it's actually a lot of times better to say no than try to get too much on your plate and not do anything good. Okay? All right.
All right.